The world of cold calling, not real sexy, not real glamorous, at least I think for a lot of people. But my guest today is going to change that perception for you, maybe, and maybe not, but she's going to give you the dirty little secrets. Her name is Nicole Attias, coming to us from Toronto, Canada. Welcome, Nicole, to Marketing with Tim. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad to be here with you, Tim.
Well, I'm glad you could join us. The cold calling, those are kind of like two little dirty words in the world of business. Like, especially if you're new, you're just entering a sales job. Like the first thing you do, open up the phone book back in the day and then start dialing. Is cold calling still a thing?
It is a dirty word. It is. It's a dirty word because the only reason why it's a dirty word is because people don't want to do it. They like to hide behind social media, emails, anything to avoid the phones. And why is that? It's the rejection. People can't deal with the rejection, the no, this isn't a good time. No, I have to wash my hair. No, I have to ask my husband or my wife, like every excuse in the book. So people don't know how to read between the lines as to, is it really valid? Is the no really valid? Or is it, no, I just don't want to hear from you at all today. You're bothering me.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Now, do you think that have people become so conditioned when they get a cold call to just immediately defenses go up on the other side? Can you almost sense that?
Oh, yeah.
Over the phone?
Definitely. I mean, we now have to deal with gatekeepers. Like
Yeah.
they're told by upper management to screen calls. They're told, to ask certain questions. And that, to me, that's the most frustrating thing, right? It's dealing with all of that, getting past all of that. Now, there's some great people to talk to on the phone. It's just getting through those ones. That's the problem.
And of course, there's probably no standard blanket answer to this, but is there a magic phrase that you can say to somebody to get past a gatekeeper? Is there one phrase that works every time?
Speak to me now. There, no, unfortunately, there is no magic phrase. It's just maybe what I would say is just treat the gatekeeper as though they're the decision maker, make them feel important, make them feel like they're the ones deciding. And then they will probably work with you a little bit better. It's not always guaranteed, but just making them feel like, yeah, you're right. Take the time, learn about us. I really want you to know about what we're doing. And you just have that conversation as though you're speaking to the decision maker. Sometimes that helps.
Interesting. How long have you been doing cold calling?
You don't want to know. A long time. Over 15 years for different industries. Such as I've contacted for real estate, commercial real estate, recruitment, cybersecurity, office furniture, space planning, different businesses out there. And I would say out of all of those, commercial real estate was the toughest just because the sales cycle is so long. But where, the sales cycle is a little quicker, like with recruitment or with office furniture, for example, it was a lot easier to deal with because people are yes, no, yes, no. It's not, oh, get back to me in 3 months and we'll see where we're at. Get back to me in 6 months. Year goes by and then that person's not even in their position anymore. And you're left kind of hanging. And that just drove me crazy, right? Some people, it works for them, right? They build a relationship that way and it works for them. But for me, I knew that I needed that quicker yes, no response. And that's where cold calling works really well, is the quick yes, no.
Yeah. What's for those people working in a phone farm or what, I'm not sure what the industry term is for these things, the cube
boiler
farm.
room.
Boiler room. There you go.
That's an old one.
Yeah. For those maybe working in that type of environment, what's a good success rate for them on a daily basis?
It goes by industry. It doesn't go by, I can't say that. Like for example, recruitment pre-COVID, I could get 1 to 2 meetings per every 10 calls.
Wow.
right? But those numbers have changed, since,
Sure.
people are doing the whole Zoom thing, right? And things are slowly going back. That would be an example. Now, I could say that, maybe 1 in 10 in cybersecurity. Commercial real estate, maybe 1 in 30 to get something decent.
Oof.
Maybe less, right?
Yeah.
Somebody might argue with me and say, no, that's not true. But when I say 1 in 30, I'm saying it like in terms of qualified appointments. See, the purpose of picking up the phone is to set the meeting. It's not to, to sell them over the phone.
Oh, it's not? Because
No,
that's what I thought it was. I thought that's what it's
no,
cold
that's like
callers.
telemarketing. That's telemarketing. That's like, don't bother me to, like, don't sell me like vacuum cleaners right now. I'm eating dinner with my family.
Right.
Right. I'm not talking about that.
But what about your car warranty? I mean, can we talk to you about your car warranty? That's the big hot one going around in the US.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh,
Tell me about what
insane.
happens. What happens?
Oh, you'll get the number will pop up on your phone, and then it will be somebody in India saying, do you have a car warranty or extended car warranty or something?
Right.
And it's just as a rash of this going on, and
Yeah.
it's been going on for a couple of years now, actually.
Yeah, we get all kinds of calls from different parts of the world. And, I get text messages from people I don't know. Like, this is pure spam. I'm not talking about spamming people. I'm talking
Right.
about like targeting the right decision makers, the right firms, not harassing everybody, in your neighborhood.
Yeah. And you bring up a really interesting point. In this day and age of social media, digital texting, all of that stuff, cold calling still has a place.
It does. It does. If it's done a certain way, it does, in conjunction with all the other, marketing you could do.
Sure.
Right.
It's
And
just
not, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say it really is kind of a first step into a funnel. I hate that word, but it really is the first step down a path towards hopefully a sale.
Yeah. And you know what? You can start off with email. You can start off with social media. There are no hard rules, right? Some people say, oh, call first thing in the morning, or I don't believe in that. I don't believe in any of that. I believe in the numbers game. That's what I believe in. And I think you could make these calls at any time. You can follow up with the first email. You can follow up, after social media, on LinkedIn or wherever you choose.
Sure.
And then, but as long as there's some kind of voice attached, so they're not everything is so robotic. And I think people have forgotten that.
Oh, no doubt. No
right?
doubt. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about what the audience that listens to this, most of them are as entrepreneurs. And I will tell you, as an entrepreneur / small business owner, I don't mind picking up the phone, but doing cold calling, I mean, that's like showing the cross to Dracula. It's just not. No. First off, we think it's time consuming. Think it's practically pointless. And even if we approach it as you do, as a numbers game, and you're saying 10 or 20% maybe on a good day of just setting an appointment.
Numbers game, but targeted. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you're ripping the white pages or the yellow pages and calling. I don't believe in that. You know who you're calling. You're targeting the right people. You're not speaking to just random people. All of this, it's like target marketing, right? Like, you don't just randomly call anyone, because of course that's so discouraging. You're wasting all your energy, you're getting burnt out, and you're getting nowhere, right? I'm not talking about that. You know who you're going after. It sounds so bad, but you know who you would like to speak to.
Sure.
Right? And that's how you go. That's the way to do it.
Before you even pick up the phone, what's the first thing, if somebody wants to get it and they say, you know what, Nicole is right, I'm going to give this cold calling thing a try. What's the first piece of advice you would give?
Just pick up the phone. That's my advice. I say, like, I've got a couple of young people working with me making these calls. And what I did to train them was, here's your list. This is what you're going to say. Make the calls. I didn't spend days and hours. I said, make the calls. because that is the biggest barrier. Well, what if such and such happens? Well, what if it doesn't matter? Make the call, make the mistakes. It doesn't matter. Get used to making the call, get used to people telling you no, get used to all that. And then if you're not sure about something, come back to me and ask me, well, they said this, what do I do now? So the biggest barrier is actually picking up the phone and doing it. That's the biggest barrier. There is no magic phrase. There's no magic, I'm not going to lie. There just really isn't. You don't want to sound like a sleazy car sales guy, right? You don't want to sound like that.
Yeah. So. You don't want to sound like some fast talking salesperson just trying to weasel their way in for a cheap sale. Right. How do you deal with handling and hearing no so much on a daily basis or whatever? Well,
I just take breaks. I take breaks and I'm thinking to myself, really, they said that? And I get angry. We all do. We don't want to hear no over and over again. But then I remind myself, it takes X amount of no's to get to that yes. As I said, 1 in 10, 1 in 20, whatever that number is in your line of work or in your industry, you know what that number is. Just keep going. And then take breaks and then just stop doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Because if you're irritated, the people on the other line are going to feel that and it spirals into problems.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying is if you're going to get into the cold call game, and it sounds like you suggest or you think that entrepreneurs should get into the cold call game, that view each one kind of as an at bat in baseball. Like they're not all going to be home runs. You're going to strike out. You're going to strike out, more than you hit home runs. So it's just it really is just doing it.
It's just doing it. And, with entrepreneurs, I found it's very different from corporate. With corporate, you're going to get more of that, chasing. You feel like you're chasing. With entrepreneurs, I find it's different. I find they're more open. They're more relaxed, but the problem is that they don't always keep their commitments. This is a problem I've noticed. They agree with you, they'll meet with you, and then they just disappear. Why
do you think that is?
I have no idea, but it's just something I've noticed. It's a little less solid, right? So this is just something I've noticed. It's not always true, but I've noticed it. And they're more likely to have great conversations, but they're going to go all over the place. There's less of a focus, right? Whereas corporate is more, yes, I want it. No, I don't. This is when I want it. Call me later. They're very concrete, right? Because we do a lot of B2B stuff. But with entrepreneurs, it's more
like Jell-O.
Fun. Yeah, it's more fun. The conversations are nice, but they're not sure.
Yeah, that is an interesting observation. Now that you say it, I noticed that too. There's a lot of these. Oh yeah, I want to meet. Yeah, cold call. Sure. Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. And then they're ghosted.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
What are the best industries in your opinion, for using for doing cold calls?
The best industries are any industry with a quick, short sales cycle, right? As I mentioned, like recruitment's great, office furniture's great, furniture's great. Like you're selling products like quickly. Anything that's a quick, like a shorter sale.
Yeah.
Is better because there's no, I have to think about it for 100 years. It's yes, I want it. No, right. I don't. Right. And I love that. Right.
Do you operate off a script?
No, bullet points. So if a client comes to me and says, okay, and I don't know anything about their industry, obviously I have to learn a little bit.
Sure.
But I would say, send me bullet points and I'll speak to you the way I'm speaking to you now. Right. Otherwise, you sound like a machine, right? You sound like a machine. Yeah. It sucks. Yeah. You don't want to sound like a machine.
Yeah, and you don't want to talk to a machine either. I mean, at that point, you might as well talk to a chat bot.
Yeah.
Cold calling in 2022 going forward, do you see this getting stronger, staying the same, strategies changing? What tell us your vision, 5-year vision? What do you think?
Okay, what I think is it's changed a lot already. We now have do not call lists, no solicitation signs. People think that it's dying, okay? And they feel that, like I said, social media is the way to go. Well, obviously networking is the best way. And people who know people, referral marketing is the best way. But picking up the phone, that will never die. Whether you call it cold calling, warm calling, or anything, it will never die, because that's where you're forming that connection, even if it's after the fact, right? That's how I see it. People are saying, oh, no, I don't need to do that, right? I have my other ways of marketing. So, right? So
yeah.
That's my view. It is changing, and it has changed already. But I still believe that making that personal contact makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree with you. But going forward, you said there's no magic phrase. Is there, as we have all these digital tools at our disposal, like phones everywhere and all this stuff, is there or have you had to change the way if somebody picks up the phone, have you changed the way that you greet them? Or is that kind of standard stuff? Hi, this is Nicole with fill in the blank.
I think it's pretty standard. I just go by the tone of voice. I go by people's moods, right? Because if you've got like some really nasty person, like I've heard some crazy off-putting things.
Such as?
Like, he's dead. I contacted I'm not kidding. I'm like, for real, this is like a public company. Like, this is a public company. We're going to call the company X.
Sure.
Okay. And I'm going like, my God, really? That's how this lady answered the phone? Like, if she's grieving or if there's an issue, she shouldn't be on the phone, period. He's dead. I'm like, oh my. Like, really?
Have a nice day, click.
I could not believe. Yeah, exactly. And she hung up on me too.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get. And I had one guy say to me, do you know how many times you called me? Do you know how many times? And I go, I think this is number 5. And because I made a joke about it, he's like, he agreed to meet with me. Right. I go, I guess this is no, he didn't say, do you know how many times you call me? He said, do you know how many voicemails you left me? And I go, well, I guess this is number 5. It wasn't a voicemail. It was live. But like, It's just how you deal with these people over the phones. And just, if you treat it as, something light and fun and you enjoy it a little bit, then people will relax a little bit and it's not as painful. It doesn't have to be like hell out there. It doesn't have to be hell. I swear it doesn't. Okay.
I'm thinking, if anybody's listening to this going, of all the careers you could pick, you do cold calling. Like, is that not self-torture enough? But the fact that you can actually turn this, like you said, it sounds like you say it's a numbers game. You go by percentages. It sounds like you treat it as a game. How many kills, how many clean shots can I get today? And so it really is how you approach it. That's what it sounds like to me.
It is. It's how you approach it, but you'd be amazed. We work with companies with growing sales teams. That's what we do, right? That's what we do. And so these salespeople need meetings. So either they need help, over the phone setting those meetings, or we help them set those meetings. And there are tons, like you're in the US, there are tons of companies that do this stuff. Right. But the difference here is that we do sales training too. Right. So I'm not on the phones all day as I used to be. I'm out doing training seminars on this stuff. And
Sure.
that's fun for me too, right? So it's a combination of different things.
Do you do this just primarily in Canada, US, or are you global, regional? What's your office like?
I mean, right now it's Canada, US, but I'm open to doing this pretty much anywhere, right?
Have you ever done
Online,
stuff?
it can be anywhere, but face to face, it'd be nice to go face to face again, right?
Sure, of course, of course. Have
Yeah,
you ever done any training overseas? The India, Philippines, all that stuff.
I have not.
You have not. Okay. I just wondered. Just wondering how different it would be from there to here, because you hear all these. Oh, hire a VA. Well,
Right,
okay, yeah, you hire a VA, which is great for some. It's in my opinion, they're great for some things. They're not great for everything.
right, right.
And I just wonder what's your opinion of VAs and cold calling?
Well, I think just in different countries, they do things differently and they expect a response. I mean, I've had people target me. They're like expecting an answer tomorrow. And like they ask me a question and then they expect me to respond back. And this is through social media. We were talking about social media.
Yeah.
And they're expecting a response in like right away, the moment that they send the text or the voice text. And I'm
Oh,
going, like, that's not how things are done. Are you not interested anymore? I've had so many people approach me this way. And I'm going, okay, well, now I'm being cold called and this is how they're doing it. I'm going, oh my God, like,
how do you like it? How do you like it?
I don't
Yeah.
like it like that. I tell you, I don't like it like that at all.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
I don't know if
Absolutely.
that answers your question, but
Absolutely. No, that's great. I was thinking as we've been chatting, I'm thinking, I'm sure you have you been cold called, and you have, but you said something earlier and we didn't really do a complete fill in of your bio, but you do training for companies, small companies, medium-sized companies, I would assume.
medium-sized companies with growing sales teams, that would be my ideal
There you go.
market.
Okay.
But I've also done it for other, other departments. So that could be communication training, customer service training, which you're still dealing on the phones. You're just dealing with complaints. It's a different game, right? And then of course, sales reps. And I deal with a lot of egos as well. Like, who's she coming in here training me and teaching me how to do things differently
Oh,
than
man.
I've always done it, right? Like I've had to deal with that kind of stuff. But I like those guys because those guys challenge me. And I'm like,
Sure.
okay, really? Really? So then I make them feel important. And then there's this like back and forth, and then they start to like chill out a little
They
bit.
thaw out,
Yeah.
and sure.
I find it funny. Like personally, I find it funny, right? It doesn't bother me. It used to bother me. Now it's like, okay, here we go. We got this dude coming in here all whatever, right?
How long did it take you to not let that bother you?
It took a few years. It took a few years. I'm not gonna lie, right? But then now again, it's like characters. It's like instead of turning on the TV and watching TV, you will have like a live show right there. You got your
Yeah.
people, like you have a live show right there,
Yeah.
you know?
And so you're probably a really good judge of a persona versus an archetype. A persona is one person, an archetype is an overarching thing. So you're probably really good because you can, if you get into that room and, well, who does this chick see? Who's this Nicole? Whatever,
Yeah.
from where? How are you going to tell me? And you probably, with your experience, you probably know how to just right, like just stick the fangs in and it's over.
Yeah, you learn, but I can read like face to face. I love the face to face, right? I mean, I know we're doing everything, well, we're doing it less and less on Zoom these days, more face to face, but
right.
I love the face to face because I can pick up who's who in there, right? And I can already sense, and that was part of my problem too when I first started doing this stuff with the training, just regardless of the topic, was I understood people too quickly, and I was taking it all in, right? And it's like, this person's serious, this person's relaxed, this person's analytical, this person's, and when you start reading your audience like that, it's great because then you can relate to them, but it's also not so great because you're taking in their stuff. right? So it's that balance of the two. I mean, now we're going off on a tangent here, but now it's a balance of the two, right? When you're presenting, is reading the audience and then knowing how to like detach from certain things and carry on, stay on course. It's like a juggling act as a facilitator. I'm sure, you know, as a facilitator, you've heard this before, right? And you experience it. Everyone's different. Then you have those crafted people that present in such a way that they're like that ego guy I told you about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you talk to them, they're like a different person when they're not presenting. It's like, who are you really?
The guard comes down, the mask comes up. Yeah.
Really, right? And this is something I've noticed too in this industry. Now we're moving on to on the training side, right? This is what I've noticed.
Yeah, you're right though. I mean, the guard comes down, the mask comes off, and all of a sudden this person's not on stage and they're not air quotes on anymore. Now they're air quotes off. Yeah. Oh yeah, now I can just be me. Well, what were you up there? You know, so when you talk
preaching communication skills,
right.
It's unreal. They're preaching communication skills, yet they're not doing what they set out is the right things to do. It's just bizarre to me.
In 180 degrees out of phase.
Yeah.
When you talk about reading people, and when you, especially in the world of cold calling, somebody, you know, you cold call somebody, and within, it's got to be milliseconds, you can tell from a person's tone, energy level, etc. You can't maybe not do 100% accuracy, but really, really high of how they're feeling, what's going on, if they're stressed, if they're busy, if they're tired, whatever. Is there a way, or have you found a way to be playful with them, or did you just kind of go with the flow?
I go with the flow so that I know how much energy to put there, right? Because you can always call back, right? Most of the success with cold calling is calling back, is the follow-up. So you just need to understand, you know, how many of those do you need to do and how quickly do you need to do them from the first call. That's all it is. That's all it is.
There's another thing I didn't even think about, it, like following up with cold calls. Everybody think, oh, it's just call once and it's like you get one shot, that's it. And
no, and that's the beautiful thing. Like, I like to get voicemail. I like voicemail because with busy executives, they're not returning your calls. But I use a system, it's called progressive voice messaging. So you leave a message on Monday and then you follow it up a few days later, referencing Monday's date and time. So then they think, oh, wow, this person's really keeping track. They're taking me seriously. So right there, that's credibility that you're developing, right? And then, you know, they still don't call you back. You leave it alone. You might touch base again 3 months down the road. And then those same people, let's say you actually got through to them and they say, oh, no, I'm not interested. Those same people who gave you a hard time are going to thank you for your persistence. Those same people, right? Not always, but I've had a lot of people say, oh, thank you for following up. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for your persistence. And it doesn't happen on the first call. It happens through time, because now it's no longer cold calling. It's warm calling, right? So I don't view it as cold calling anymore. I view it as warm calling now.
Yeah.
That's where I like to get to.
Do you think people that do cold calling as for a living, or maybe
it's just part of their job,
part of their job?
That's all it is. It's part of their job.
Do you think the mistake that people make when they're doing cold calling is they're trying to, you know, take somebody to bed on the first date? Like, that's not how this works. You know, you gotta step them down. You know, you gotta kind of walk them through and go, look, you can trust me. Do you think that's a mistake that a lot of people make?
Yeah. They're like, oh, this is hell. I don't want to do it again. Goodbye. Good night.
Bad date. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm not getting anything out of this one.
Yeah. Right. What do you say to those people? What do you do to break that conditioning in those people that think this is how you do it? It's like, if it's not an immediate yes, I'm moving on.
I think it's through experience. They just need to learn. They just need to be told and to learn and to try something new. And then just see how it works out.
Interesting.
That's it.
You know, it's so funny when we first started connecting, and we were talking, and you were saying that the whole thing about cold calling, and I'm thinking, now there's a phrase that it's in my mind that which could be way off, it could be dead on. I have no idea. It's one of those phrases that, oh yeah, I guess people still do cold calls. You just don't hear of it that much anymore. But
Right.
apparently, it's still big, still a thing, and I learned a lot of stuff on this today. So this was great stuff, Nicole.
Yeah, thank
Where
you.
where do people engage your services and find out more about you?
They could email me directly, Nicole@prospecttowin.com. I have a YouTube channel, and they can learn a lot of tips there. Website being revamped right now, but you know,
It's okay.
they can go there too.
Sure. Prospect2win.com. Is there a number
Correct.
2 or in there anything crazy?
The number 2, yes.
So it is prospect, the number 2 win.com. Nicole Attias, this is great. This is really, really great stuff. And I hope you get some more clients, some more coaching clients and all this stuff out of here from this today. And we will certainly keep an eye on you. And I want to thank you for being on today.
Thank you. It was fun. You're awesome.
Thank you.